Hey there. So today I thought I would answer one of those questions that I get very frequently about which course ideas should I actually pick. Julie, can you help me decide? So today I have a bunch of questions for you to help out and get that next course idea created.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a fun episode. I actually pulled this from some of the questions that I've been getting from the folks I've been working with and meeting and connecting with. So I thought you might like to hear my answer when someone says, help, which course idea should I do? I have all of these ideas, or I don't have any ideas. Can you help me out? So yes, we're going to talk about that today. And then I also wanted to remind you, on November the 4th, 5th, and 6th, we are doing the 24-hour course creator for a 3-day weekend. So if you've been trying to get that course created for 2023, this is the perfect time to jump in. Plus, you will get access to the whole program. So if you want to do future courses, you'll have the layout and the framework so that you can jump in and do some future courses. Victoria, one of my students, was in some really expensive high-end course creation programs, and she did not get her courses created, and then she jumped into 24-hour course creator, and she's done 3 in a few months. So it is very much for you if you're trying to just like get things together, get it going, get some help, and we're going to have this really focused weekend. And I'll give you just a little hint here. This is probably the best price you're ever going to see to jump into 24-hour course creator. In January, I'm raising the price back up. So I thought I would test here in November and see if there's a bunch of you that are trying to jump in at if the cost is what's been holding you back. So make sure you go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/intensive. And that will take you over to the page so you can find out the scoop and get the details. We're going to have a blast. We're having 6 different co-working sessions. Plus, I'm doing 3 coaching sessions during the week, or during the weekend, I mean. And so you get the program, plus you get to work with me for the whole weekend. And just imagine if for 2023, you've got that online course content created and you're ready for another revenue stream. So I'm so excited to get to work with you. Jump in, jump in. Okay, so for today's episode, I wanted to think about this question and give you some really good answers, because it's one of those questions that can get in the way and really stop you from moving forward. So let's talk about it a little bit. Let's say you could be in one of 2 different places. The first one could be you've got so many course ideas that you don't know which one to do. So we're going to start with that one. Or you want to figure out what you could teach a course on, and you don't really have a direction or an idea just yet. So there are 2 different situations, and I've got 2 different sets of questions that you can use depending on where you're at. Okay, so if you have so many ideas that you don't know what to do with it, like you don't know which one to do, you're trying to figure out and assess these different options because you've got so many ideas, here are some things that you can ask yourself that will help out. The first one is, which one has your audience been asking you about the most? So when you are in, let's say, Clubhouse rooms or Facebook groups or any kind of forum where your audience is hanging out, what are they asking for? What are the questions that are coming up most often? Those are a really good place to start with an online course. Number 2, where have you gotten the best results in the past for the most people? So maybe for yourself, maybe for other people, Like, where have you had the most success and the most results? That's a really good place to start too. Number 3 is which course will be easiest for you to create. So I'm very, very big on let's find that thing that we can get started with and get revenue coming in the door as quickly as possible. And then we'll go on to create more and bigger and all of that. But let's just get one going and get some revenue to help fuel the things that you want to do going forward. So which one's going to be the easiest to create? And sort of related to that is question number 4 is which idea do you already have content for? So maybe you have worksheets. Maybe you already have some things that you've pulled together, that you've thought about, that you've shared with your one-on-one clients. Like, do you have something already that you could adjust and modify and turn into an online course? Question number 5 is where does this idea land on the customer journey? So the reason I ask that is let's assume that your prospective client is on a specific path. So they are going through the process. And is it something that happens early on so that maybe you could have some follow-on courses? So if you think of it kind of like when you're in college and there's the prerequisites for the different kinds of courses that you want to join, like you have to take this course before you take that course, and then these two before the third one. So if you can put your ideas into an order like that, you can have some ongoing revenue from your students because they jump into that first course and then they're ready for the next one and the next one and the next one. So if you're trying to decide where to start, that very first one of the 101 version could be a really good place to go. And then the question number 6, what are the price points? Because that might impact which one you want to do. And it's not as huge of a decision, like we just want to get you going. But if you've got some courses already going, you're trying to figure out the next one, do you need to add a more expensive course? Do you need to add a lower price course? Like, what are you missing right now? What price point could this be? Number 7 is how would you actually teach it? So is this something that you can sit down and record in your own time and then share it as a DIY, do-it-yourself kind of course? Or is it something you need to do as a group and do it as group coaching? Because that might affect which ideas are better than others depending on how you want to actually teach it. Question number 8 is, do you have some kind of unique framework that you use? Now, you may not yet, especially if you're just getting started. That's okay. But if you do, then that puts you further ahead on a specific idea. So I'll give you an example. The 24-hour course creator program, we literally have it laid out for you hour by hour and how you should pull it together. And so because of that, I can crank those out really easily. Like, I give you the cheat sheet and we start going through the training, and it's simple for someone to get going and get that first course done. So that's a framework that is unique to me. So it makes it easier for me to sell. Plus it's something that makes it easier to create. So if you have some kind of framework or steps that you go through, that might make that idea a little bit better. Number 9 is which one would be easiest for you to sell. And I've talked about this in the past if you've listened to some other episodes, but it's related to can you put up a page and sell it from there? Or do you need to actually get on the phone with someone and talk them through it, and to where you're going to have to do a bunch of consultations and figure out the way to sell it. So depending on how you want to sell, it might affect which course idea you pick, because you want to pick the one that the majority of your audience is going to jump on without you having to do all the extra work. And then number 10, and this might be the most important one of all of these questions, is which idea are you most excited about to teach? That enthusiasm, that excitement, that will come through. as you are teaching and sharing and selling and marketing your course, that excitement's going to show up. So pick the one that you are the most excited about, and then maybe some of these other questions will help you narrow down the perfect idea for you to get going on. And then come join us for the intensive so we can help you through it. Now, if you're at that place where you're like, I just don't know what to teach about, and I've had some of my folks that come to me from this, like they are either trying to switch arenas or they just really don't know where to start. So here's a few questions to think about and mull over. First one is like, what are your hobbies? What comes naturally to you that just feels so simple? Because those are those things that you are really, really good at. And you might not even think that it's something that you could sell because it comes so naturally to you, but it probably doesn't come naturally to everyone else. So this question number 3, what are people always asking you about? Or they want to know how to do, and they want you to show them how to do it because it's something you know. That could make a good course. 4 is, where and how do you spend your free time? So do you have specific TV shows? Maybe you love to bake, so you're always watching the baking shows. Or you love home design, so you have all kinds of magazines where you're always reviewing different home design things. Or do you have certain YouTube channels or social media accounts that you're just obsessed with and you watch everything? Those are those things that you can be an incredible advocate for. Plus, you already have a lot of knowledge because you have been very excited to follow them. So think about, how am I using my free time, and could that be turned into a topic that I could train on? And then number 5, what did you like to do as a child? Maybe some of those things could come back for you. One of my favorite toys when I was a 5-year-old was my Fisher-Price Play schoolhouse. And imagine that. Now I'm helping people, teaching people how to do courses. So it sort of fits. And then what were you good at in school? What were those things, those subjects that were easy and came well to you and you loved to do? Number 7 is, what skills did you pick up in your current job or where you're working? And could you transfer those to a brand new audience? That's where I think some of the best marketing can happen, is when you take an idea from one knowledge base and you transfer it into a new audience. So sort of as an example, like I can take some of the things that I learned when I was working for the accounting firm on how to run a business and transfer them over to help my course creators. So whenever you can do that transfer, you're probably creating something a little new that maybe that audience has not heard before. So that can be a good place to play too. What skills can you take and move over into a new audience? And similar to that, are there different angles that you can take from your current job and actually turn it into some kind of online course, online training, something that you're currently doing? So you can see there's all kinds of places where you can play, things you can come up with. And my suggestion for you is to mull this over and just start jotting down some notes about what sorts of ideas jump into your mind, maybe when you're in the shower or you're waking up first thing in the morning. You're like, oh, that could be an interesting idea. And then do a little research. Don't go down the rabbit hole too far, though, because remember, anybody else who's already jumped in, they are 10,000 steps ahead of you. So don't compare and worry about it if you see courses that are already out there on your topic. And actually, that's a really good thing when there are already courses, because that means there's an audience. That means you don't have to convince people that there's a problem that they need solved. Like, they already know, they're already looking for it. And what's going to be unique is that the way you teach and the things that you share will be the things that make your course unique and will attract those students that love working with you and the way you teach. So I hope this episode gave you some food for thought, gave you some questions that you can take forward and play with. if whether to pick out your perfect course idea, or if you don't know what to teach about, hopefully it'll give you some ideas. And let me know how it goes. I can't wait to hear it and learn all about you and what you're doing. So thanks so much for listening. Thank you for following and subscribing. And if you happen to be in a Facebook group somewhere where people are asking for resources, if you could share the Course Creators HQ podcast, I would be incredibly grateful to you for that. Usually I can't promote my own podcast, but if you wouldn't mind sharing it, that would be fantastic. If you've learned a thing or two or gotten an idea that can help move you forward, I appreciate you sharing it out with the rest of the world so we can get some more courses out there. We need it. Our planet needs it. Our world needs it. So thanks so much for jumping into the deep end of the pool of course creation. And I will catch you next week on the next episode. Take care.